Hello, hi viewers. I am Dr. Elizabeth Varsha Paul. Welcome to the podcast. Today we have a very young, vibrant, and a charming person with me, Dr. Anand Shankar, Assistant Professor in ISPR Business School. He is also a research mentor, a research manager with almost 10 years of teaching experience. Hello, Dr. Anand. Welcome to the podcast.
Good evening, and thank you so much, Dr. Elizabeth, for this opportunity. It's my privilege to be here.
So, first, just being curious, what is this role called as research manager? Can you just give us some insights about it?
Yes. So I am very much into the teaching fraternity. I do handle subjects for the UG students and for the PG students as well. But then at one point of time, for every academician who's been into teaching, would love to get into administrative post. So that curiosity brought me to manage the research department, where I hold this post of research manager and I execute three different responsibilities. One, I
Okay.
take care of the fellow program in management, which is a doctoral level program, which is exclusively designed for the corporate people. Say, for example, people working in Infosys, in Accenture, in TCS, or in Wipro, they don't have a NET exam or they don't have a SET exam.
Yeah,
They love
yeah.
to do a doctoral program to elevate the career or to,
Okay.
move in a very better position. So
Okay.
to avoid that particular constraint,
Mhm.
AICTE has introduced this fellow program in management, which is exclusively designed for the corporates. So I take
So,
care of the
only for the corporate professionals, am I right?
it is for both. It is for academicians and also for the
Okay.
corporate. But
Okay.
there is ability for people who are from the industry. So I'll tell
Okay.
you what exactly happens. They bring the real-time industrial problem and they study that. So it gives them a
Okay.
lot of opportunity, and it is not going to be like a traditional PhD. It is a new modern PhD, I would say. So I take care of the admission process and I do guide scholars who have been enrolled into the FPM program. Second, I do take care of the PhD program under University of Mysore, which is a very
Mhm.
famous state university. And then we take up the different types of roles in the research department, which includes documentation, facilitating between the guides and the scholars. So it is a power-packed managerial pursuits. And the most interesting one, since I work with ISBR, I have a lot of freedom to organize a lot of events like faculty development programs, workshops, webinars, student development program, organizing conferences. So I manage everything from A to Z.
Okay. So, first, I wanted to ask you, how is your PhD journey transformed you, or what are the challenges that you faced? Can you just share your PhD journey with us?
I did my PhD from SRM University, Chennai, Katangulathur campus. Way back in the year 2014, I enrolled. So that
Mm.
was a time when the we used to meet the research guides. We used to ask them whether can you guide me. And I let me put it in a very honest way. I had a very amazing guide who supported me 100%. Dr. R. Angayar Kanni, who's a full-time professor working with the SRM University. And let me also tell you that I didn't want to do a PhD where everyone did in the same topic. And I'm a hardcore fan of Philip Kotler, who's the father of marketing. So his textbook, Marketing Management, is like a Bible for me. I know from page one to the last page what is the content. So there is one phrase which is called mystery shopping. And when I was
Yeah, I
searching,
did see your LinkedIn profile as well. I was very curious
right,
as well. I wanted to ask you the next question. Yeah, probably you can explain to us what it is.
so when I was looking into this phrase of mystery shopping, I came across that there are a lot of job opportunities which anyone can take, even a school kid or a college kid or a housewife or any business professional. So that is how actually I started my career. in my undergraduate program as a mystery shopper. I'll just give you a very quick explanation on what is that, and then I'll talk about the PhD journey. When you get into a store, like a Pizza Hut or a Domino's, you can see some 20 to 25 customers there. Not all the 25 people are the real customers. 23 would be the real customers, but remaining two would be spy. And who are these spy?
Yeah.
They are appointed by the store owner to check how the sales is done, to check how the ambience is done. So we act like a customer, we get into a store, we observe a lot of things, and we submit a report to the management. And like a college going kid, I was paid 250 rupees, 500 rupees, 1,000 rupees. So that is how I got interested to be a mystery shopper. So then when I wanted to do my PhD, I was thinking I had extensive assignments which I have done for several brands. Why not doing this mystery shopping only as my PhD topic? Something which is going to be new, something which is going to create an impact on the Indian society. And that is where I spoke about the mystery shopping concept to my research guide. And she was very happy enough to accept it. But then it was very new way back in 2014. So my experience, I've converted into my PhD thesis, and I've done almost 5,000 assignments for different brands across India, across the globe, I would say. So that became one of the first thesis in mystery shopping in India. So there are three theses in the world, and one is mine on mystery shopping.
Okay. So proud of you on that front. Thank you so much. You mentioned about assignment. What does that mean? Can you just please explain to us?
So, for example, let me tell you that XYZ company is approaching a market research agent to know about how the internal working is there, whether the customers are happy, whether the sales representatives are performing well. So this market research agency will call us and they would ask, hey, you know what? There is one assignment in this particular store. Would you like to do it? So if I'm really interested, I go to that particular store, I observe, and I submit this report to this market research agent. So that is an assignment. For each assignment, we are paid based on the inputs what we give.
Okay. Dr. Anand, you had mentioned about market research, right? So, what are the right now the key trends that you see or witness in your particular field?
Yes. So mystery shopping was more into the retail sector, but let me also tell you, Reserve Bank of India also performs mystery shopping. And now this is the latest
Okay.
trend because service quality is seen everywhere. Let it be a hospital, or let it be a banking counter, or let it be a restaurant, or let it be a mall. People want the best service to be provided. And now, when we talk about the market research, surveys, face-to-face conversations, telephonic interviews, or Zoom-based interviews. So these are all the different types of spaces and opportunities where data can be collected. And students play a very important role here. It's not only people who are graduated with a qualified degree. It can also be anyone who has not holding any PhDs or any research-based degrees, but who are interested to collect primary data or secondary data. And pharmaceutical industry has become quite competent enough to employ a lot of market researchers now. Automobile industries and pharmaceutical industries. So as a mystery shopper, we do get a lot of opportunities from these two industries.
Okay. I always believe in a PhD journeys. For example, writing a paper, that's not easy, right? Sometimes you need to collaborate. So, what is your take on this? Is do collaborations with efficient people, for example, specialize in a particular field, does it help? What is your take on it?
So, when I started my research in the year 2014, I was way traditional, where I used to publish my research articles only with my research guide. But once after getting into Bangalore and getting more exposure, I wanted to make my profile such a way that I get good citations. My research articles are really read by people, and I wanted to do it on topics which are more trendy in nature. So that is a time where I started to collaborate with people from different universities on one side. Second, I also understood that you have to collaborate with people who are from the industry. So my recent paper, I collaborated with two people, one working with KPMG and the other one working with Deloitte. So this, a fusion of academia and industry together, I think that is the best combination. We sit, we discuss, we brainstorm, we have clashes in the ideas, and then we come to a consensus, we put our ideas. So that paper, which is a collaboration between academia and industry, gets the maximum number of citation. So one thing what I would really tell to the audience is that never write a research article just for the sake of your uh, performance appraisal in whichever institution you work. But it's better to do it on that area which has a huge passion. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, I published three articles exclusively based on the COVID-19 pandemic, and that has fetched my entire citations. So one learning takeaway from my side is that passion, the latest trend, and also academia industry collaboration would really help.
How long do you generally take for writing a research paper? Since you said you collaborate, takes a lot of time because people also give some ideas and so that. So how long does it take generally
Yeah.
to complete the paper?
So usually we do start with research articles in the group where we split the work very equally. And I never changed the group. Most of my papers, if you see, my group members would be the same. One or two additions or deletions only would be there. So we write an article for almost 6 months, and then it is sent for a publication. And then sometimes it is accepted with corrections. Sometimes it is rejected, which is more heart-burning. But we work on the corrections. We ensure that we submit the same article. So these days we concentrate only on Scopus, ABDCs,
Okay.
IEEEs, Web of Science, and the best conferences. So when the team knows what is the expectation of each other, it is a cakewalk. So
Yeah.
as a tip, I would say always maintain a same group of members with whom you are comfortable to work.
Okay. So what exactly do you take? Just a general question. In a research paper, what exactly do you like to work with? Is it methodology part or writing a literature review? What exactly do you like to do?
So generally, as a person, I read a lot. Most of the time, you can see me with a book or a research article. So my forte would be more on the qualitative aspect. I'm a qualitative researcher. I'm totally against the quantitative techniques. I'm not a person who can use statistical tools because being from the social science domain, I honestly believe that there are certain things which cannot be concluded with the statistical tool. So I love doing a lot of content coding, reading a lot of literature, developing some conceptual models and framework, or coming out with a new theory. And also, my forte is into developing conceptual models which are subjected to copyrights. I do hold 5 to 6 copyrights on that. So I ensure that my models, whatever I frame, should have a social impact. So, to put it in a nutshell, I would say I love to work on the theoretical groundwork.
Okay. Since you mentioned that your expertise is much more in a qualitative work, what tools do you generally use? Can you give us some idea on that?
Yes. So predominantly, there are two tools what I use. That is a software application. One is NVO and the other one is DDoS. But we can also use a normal Excel sheet where we can do the content coding. When we
Okay.
do a literature review, 100 literature reviews, when we walk through 100 varieties of paper, we have to pick up some important variables. And then we have to assign weights. We have to see how many times it has been repeated. This can be done in a manual way. And then with the help of Excel sheets, we can develop some nice pictorial representations, and then it can be a part of the research paper. So NVivo and Deduce, and of course Microsoft Excel. These are the three important applications what I usually use.
Okay. And you had mentioned a bit earlier about the conferences. So, do you think for a research scholar, is it important to attend a conference? Is it necessary to meet experts? What do you think about it?
My very first conference was with IIT Delhi.
Mhm.
So when I got this opportunity way back in 2014, it was very expensive, booking the flight tickets and the conference fee. But let me tell you, I spent 30 to 40,000. It happened for 5 days continuously, and it gave me the best exposure to meet people, to be very confident enough to accept a lot of criticism as well, I would say. And traveling all the way to Delhi, staying there, without knowing about the language, but that, honest urge to meet people and to network. So that is the best thing what we have to gain. So I would honestly suggest to all the young research scholars, choose the best conferences, which can be national or international, but a very good reputed institution, and then get there, not to get that exposure of winning in an article, but for meeting people and to network with them. I think those network can be further converted into research collaborations in future. Because I still
Yeah,
remember
very.
my few professors in IIT Delhi, I'm in still touch with them. And each time I am organizing conferences, I invite them as a session chair member, as a chief guest, as a resource person. So it really helps. It's a win-win situation or a barter system, I would honestly say.
Okay. Since you said that in conferences sometimes you face criticism, I mean, constructive criticism, let's call it that way. So, how do you deal with it generally? It's just from your side you can give, because I also attended conference, and I think my first conference they did give me, they told me this is not how you do the primary data. You should have done this, but that's okay. That's constructive criticism, but that also helped me. So, how do you deal with criticism, burnout? Because researchers generally they find difficult to balance the work and the life. So how do you deal with it? Yeah.
So one lesson what I have personally learned in my research journey is that as researchers, we are in cloud nine. We always have this feeling that whatever we do is the best, it is the correct, we are going in the right path. There are
Yeah,
no other
yeah,
in the world who are better than us, right?
yeah,
At one
yeah.
point of time, I really realized that there are many research scholars who are doing wonderful work, and ours is just 5%. So how do we bridge this? So when I
Mm,
attend any conferences, I observe the methodology, the way of presentation, the dressing style, the way they put forward the ideas, the way they are framing the research paper. So these are all the small tips which we really have to consider. And let me also tell you that when I was doing my PhD in SRM University in Chennai, I used to travel to different other institutions and public libraries. Once
mm,
I went to the University of Madras, to the library. I picked up one thesis which was on Facebook.
okay.
2014 thesis published on Facebook. I'll tell you that thesis changed my perception on research. It was so trendy, it was so new, the methodology was new, the ideas were new. So that is when I understood that pause, understand that there are a lot of research which is happening around you. So be patient enough, accept things, and slowly look into it. So these, I wouldn't call it as constructive criticism, but yes, but a powerful observation which can be converted into top leads to make our work in a better way.
Okay. So, what are the books that you would recommend in your particular field for viewers to read, and can give us some research books as well, or what book has really transformed your life?
Yes. Uh, so I'll again put it in this way. As researchers, one of the biggest mistakes what we all do, especially when we have to read articles, the first thing, go to Google Scholar, download some papers, and quickly
Yeah,
read it. But we
yeah.
never explore some databases like Sage, Taylor and Francis, Wiley, Springer. I think there are a lot of hidden gems. Even if you get into the platform of Sage, there are few methodologies, chapters, what we can download, and it is of course free. And Science Direct is one, I would say. Many people do have a misconception that Science Direct is only for technical papers. It's not like that.
Mhm.
Even if a
Mhm.
person is doing it on consumer behavior or marketing or HR, they get to see a huge collection in Science Direct, which is perfect. So, spending a lot of time, let it be book chapter, articles, conference proceedings. So, these are all the different sources where we can collect data. But again, answering to your question, one book which really changed my life is again Marketing Management by Philip Kotler. I have all the versions, even the latest one. And when Philip Kotler, I'm a diehard fan. I am connected very much on LinkedIn also. Even yesterday, uh, there was a post, and I do read. And since I stem from marketing and consumer behavior, I give a lot of importance to AMA, American Marketing Association. So journals of conferences of AMA or blogs of AMA, workshops of AMA, uh, I ensure that I get the notification. So likewise, for people who are specializing in different area, there might be expertise. Let me tell you that identify that book, one book, which is really going to change your life, and ensure that you read that book completely.
Okay. In your LinkedIn profile, you had mentioned about obviously about active mystery shopper. I did have a look at it, and economic value added. I was just curious, what is it?
Yeah. So let me also put it in this way. My dad wanted me to do chartered accountancy, but
Okay.
unfortunately, I hate accounts. I'm a person who can never do accounts. So I did my BBA where no accounts would be there, only theories would be there. And once after I finished my BBA, again, my dad was mentioning that you're a person who can never do accounts, right? So as that young chap, I took it as a challenge and I did my MCom in finance and accounts with
Mhm.
no base of accounts in my undergraduate program. So when I was doing
Mhm.
my MCom in finance and accounts as a full-time scholar in Bharatiya University, so we had to publish research articles. So that was a time when we know about the impact of 2008's world economic crisis. So I
Yeah.
wanted to study how companies are performing, how's the profitability position, how it is impacting the economy. So this economic value added, market value added, shareholders value added. We call it as EVA, MAVA, and SAVA. That was a tool which was popular used between 2008 to 2014. So my MCom
Mhm.
dissertation was on EVA, MAVA, SAVA, and I've published
Mhm.
few articles on that as well. But it's quite natural that once after we finish our post graduation, our interest changes. So from finance and accounts, it changed to marketing and then to
Mhm.
human resource management. So that's how it went.
So I wanted to ask you, like, how has the landscape of PhD as such has evolved since you're a research mentor as well? In the year probably 10 years back, your PhD journey was different. Right now, the what even the students want is different, and it is evolving. I believe it's like it's evolving, right? So, what is your idea on that?
Honestly speaking, I would say that students, scholars doing PhDs this era have become very lazy because when we used to do our PhD, our guides used to make it compulsory that we have to read at least a minimum of 400 research articles.
Mhm.
We didn't have chat GPTs, no AI tools, no databases. We used to go to different universities carrying a letter, go sit there, review thesis. But now, in a click of a button, they have access to different databases, including Sci-Hub also they have. But they are not making use of that. That attention span to read one article itself is not there. And they don't want to exceed more than, 150 pages of thesis. So what is the shift in this entire mechanism, what I've seen? That opportunities to collect articles is huge now. But unfortunately, they are not doing that. So, one honest advice for all the young scholars, what I would say, the more articles you read, you'll become a master in that particular subject. Say, for example, if I've done my PhD in mystery shopping, I know in and out of mystery shopping. That is where I can claim myself as a PhD holder in that particular area. But are every research scholars confident enough to tell that? I really don't think so. And nowadays, I see a lot of unethical usage of AI tools. We
Yeah.
used to spend at least a minimum of 2 hours of time dedicating every day to read and write, to understand the concept and to write it. That also is not there these days. So, and one more major shift in a very positive way, I would say, the traditional format of PhD, people don't follow. Because those days, this is
Mhm.
how the methodology has to be, this is how the tools has to be used. If SPSS is not being used, they don't accept a PhD thesis. Uh, so that has totally changed now, which is very positive. And let me also tell you, if you take few foreign universities like National University of Singapore, I've seen some thesis. It is very crisp. It is very meaningful. It is only for 75 pages to 80 pages. But in India, if we submit 75 pages to 80 pages, institutions do not accept it. But
Yeah.
now there are few institutions which are accepting based on the quality. So even if you are writing a thesis for 100 pages, ensure that you write it, you think, you brainstorm, you squeeze your brain and write, right? Because even after 10 years now, when I open my PhD thesis, it is giving me so much of memories. And I can remember each and every part of enjoying with the present scholars. They just want to finish it and use it. So I think this mindset has to change. And I really hope it changes as well.
Since you spoke about the recent, how the trends or the recent, how scholars are, how do you actually take, like, for example, being a research guide, how do you identify a good, probably a good and hardworking scholar, and how do you identify a probably lazy scholar? Because since you're a research guide, what qualities do you look for?
So, as a research guide, we come across different varieties of scholars, exactly like how you mentioned now. But one thing, what I've never done, I never force a scholar to do a research on a topic what I wanted to do. I leave it in their own. That is one, because they are passionate about on researching on a specific topic. Second,
Yeah,
it is not
yeah,
mandatory that everyone who is enrolling for a PhD should know about the research,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
sometimes I sit with them, spend time with them. I teach them how to do a literature review. So from the scratches, we have to do for few scholars. And I think that is very important because there are few PhD scholars who come back to us and they say, thank you so much for being my research guide because you have taught me from the scratches. And
Okay.
The PhD itself is called a partial fulfillment. So most of us, including me, after finishing PhD only we understand what is research. And I think that is a
Yeah,
truth.
yeah.
So
Um, so I wanted to
thank
ask you, Dr. Anand, yeah, can you hear me? So I wanted to
yes,
ask you,
please.
Dr. Anand, you are specialized in mystery shopping, right? So, for example, if you get a candidate who's, say, for example, like a person like me who's interested in econometrics and a little bit of financial accountancy, business studies, things like that, like totally out of your domain. So, how do you deal a student like that?
So most of my scholars who are being allotted to me are based on my area of specialization. But there are one or two scholars, I would say that 30% they would love to bring a very new flavor, like a behavioral
Mhm.
mechanism or a pure psychology. So in such cases, normally as an academician, I do have the habit of reading a lot. So I do collect a lot of research articles. I read on that. I equip myself. I become little strong, and then I provide my guidance. So as I told you before, I don't stop the scholars if they are bringing something new, because that is something which has triggered them or motivated them. And equally, I would also be motivated to learn. So I think this mindset and confidence helps me to really guide in a positive way.
Okay, the last question. What are the tips that you would give for, say, for young scholars, academicians, and who is budding in research?
Many people have again a very wrong notion that just because you finish a PhD, you're going to be one of the best professors. Teaching and research are two different poles. Few people are good in teaching, few people are good in research, few people are good in administrative work. So, research is something which has to be totally driven by passion. It needs a lot of reading, and you have to call yourself as an expertise. And there are few scholars or people, say, for example, in the same age category of mine, once after they finish their doctoral thesis, they never do any research. They don't publish articles. But it should be an ongoing work where actively you really have to push yourself. So, one advice for all the budding scholars, I would say, read as much as possible. Do a very ethical research. Do not make use of AI tools. Just don't do a CCP, that is cut, copy, and paste. The more time you spend to squeeze your brain, I think your thesis would be one excellent thing. And go to the field, meet people, talk with them, have some questions, collect some pre-pilot data, and then fix your problem statement. These are the small things which were there in the past, but unfortunately, I don't see that in the present. So try to have such type of ethical practices. And again, one more honest thing, be an extrovert when it comes to research. The more you interact, receive a lot of constructive criticism, you'll never grow. But do not leave your confidence if your article is getting rejected by one of the international journals. Work on that, ensure that you take a cakewalk in that journal. I think this confidence, guts, and this positive mindset is very important for the scholars. And one more point to
Okay.
that, these days, I think research guides are very transparent enough as well because of the
Yeah,
policies, rules, regulations. So I think it is very easy for the scholars. So make the best use of them as well.
sure. Thank you. So thank you, Dr. Anand, for giving us like wonderful tips. Even I got a chance to learn so much from you. So thank you so much.
Worry, be happy.